What is a video game that hasn't aged well? Duke Nukem. What's the best answer to being called ugly? What's a red flag about yourself? I'm lazy. I can be an extremely cold and uncaring person. I also do not tend to keep in contact with people. Crippling people pleaser. With a taste of falling in love too fast with people I have to win over. That one, yeah, that's me. That one's me. That one was exactly me. Holy crap. Whenever I'm feeling insecure, I overcompensate my insecurity by acting very arrogant, but it's all a facade. I keep trying to end good relationships with good friends because of imposter syndrome. I trust no one. I'm a very jealous person, and if I'm interested in you, I never act on it, but you know I also suck at keeping in contact because there are some days where I don't want to talk to anyone, and I'm sorry. I disappear for months at a time at random. I'm extremely introvert and antisocial. I fall fast and get bored even faster. I don't talk or blink much. I'm clingy AF. Like, I need to know everything about the person, where they are, and what they're doing. I want to be very close to them. Oh wait, it's not enough. I want to be under their skin. You are the last person on the earth. What would be the first thing you'll do? One good, solid mental breakdown, that would be. Area 51. Fix the McDonald's ice cream machine and watch the end credits roll by. Like a true American patriot. Thank you for doing God's diligence. Find an extra pair of glasses before I head to the library. Go see if ladies' rooms really have a couch. Probably cry, to be honest. All these inconceived responses really don't amount to the situation you're in. You're alone. No one who loved you or admired you exists anymore. The life you had will no longer be the same. Implant myself in embryo. Then I guess it's just incest from there. Okay, man. Oh no. I'll finally rest and watch the sun rise upon a grateful universe. I'm headed to the nearest bakery and eating all the stuff my broke ass never had enough money to even sniff. Cry, then proceed to take a dump. Ask on Reddit what to do. Oh wait. You're given one wish from a genie with no conditions or downside? What do you wish for? Infinite money. Honestly, infinite money would be great. I could buy a house. I could buy a new car. I could quit my job. I could solve homelessness. I could solve world hunger. I could do the good stuff. You know, I'd be the guy. I'd be the man. Every lottery ticket I buy is the winning ticket. The ability to teleport. I can get money that way. See the world that way. Have a ton of fun that way. Probably go back to the age of 3 with all the knowledge I have now. With the ability to learn 100 times faster and life extended to the end of the sun while never physically aging past 34. I would wish that I never had a reason to wish. I wish to live for as long as I choose to in a body that doesn't physically age past 25. Leonardo DiCaprio wants to know where you're at. To be fluent in all languages, both past and present. A magical fridge that whenever I open it will always provide me with whatever I'm craving. Bring me back to January 2014. Selfishly, I'd wish for the ability to shapeshift immediately and painlessly into any other person at will. It can be fun to go out as somebody else from time to time. I could also really mess with the reputation of egotistical billionaires and politicians. Power to become invisible at will. Power to shapeshift. It is such an underrated superpower. You could make yourself look however you want. You could become a bird and fly. You could become a dolphin or a whale. You could become a rat and use it to break into banks and take all the money you want. Oh my god, and you don't get me started on the werewolf pranks I'd pull. What is a popular show you hate? Any competition show. X Factor, American Idol, etc. The performances are fine and sometimes really good. It's everything else. 90% filler, dumb judges, dumb hosts, stupid sob stories, unwatchable. The Bachelorette. Riverdale. As a Riverdale fan, I hate Riverdale as well. As a Riverdale hater, I'm also a fan of Riverdale. As someone who does not watch Riverdale, I also hate Riverdale. 13 Reasons Why. It got more than 13 episodes. You failed your premise. Also, Netflix kept you, but canceled American Vandal and the Santa Clarita Diet? You, 13 Reasons Why. The Mattel remake of Thomas and Friends. Wealth porn. Anything about rich people being rich or their drama. Most of them are so shallow and out of touch that even the semi-scripted reality TV BS can't hide it. Shows about absurd houses that will probably never sell because they were built by and for the insanely rich. Just anything that puts out a vibe like, this could be you, or this is how the wealthy live. It's all bullshit and gives credence to the saying that there are no poor people in America, only temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Everyone thinks it could be them, or imagines what they would do in those situations. But in reality, the average person is so far removed that they don't realize what they would have to become to have that kind of money. Love Island. Why does it even have to exist? Real Housewives of Anywhere. Nothing about those people are real. Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The Walking Dead. Yeah, who mows the lawns on that show? Where do the zombies get their energy from? The Big Bang Theory. My sister tries to tell me it's a show for smart people. I tell her it's a stupid show about smart people. Big difference. Anything reality. I was the same until I watched The Great British Bake Off, if that can be considered a reality show. The Great Pottery Throwdown is another good one too. Thank you for another show I need to check out. You should also check out The Big Flower Fight, and another that is on the tip of my tongue that is a gardening, food growing challenge show. Big Mouth must be popular since it keeps getting renewed, but I don't know. Every time I see a clip of it, I get a little queasy. Yeah, something about Big Mouth freaks me out, honestly, it really does. What is your favorite fictional weapon? BFG 9000, the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Do Wolverine's claws count? Those are just so badass. The Dragon Slayer. The thing is just a big slab of metal, yet it's something that stirs fear in anyone facing guts. Odd Jobs hat. The point of view gun from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy film, the Needler from Halo. I was gonna say the energy sword, but Needler's a good choice too. Oh, of course, the lightsaber. What's your guys' favorite lightsaber color, by the way? Mine's purple. I just think they look neat. I'm old school. Give me Excalibur and its sheath any day. The portal gun, Iron Man's suit, a magic wand. What is the worst series you've ever seen? Too hot to handle. Superficial people doing superficial shit for superficial viewers. The US version of the In-Betweeners. 13 Reasons Why. I wanted everyone to die by the end. Never watched beyond the first season. There are seasons beyond one? Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Thomas the Tank Engine. He's a selfish, evil piece of shit. Kim, you're mad at a train? Bro, he's not even real. The Mist is one of my favorite Stephen King stories. The movie is one of the few good movie adaptations of a Stephen King story. The series was so bad, it pissed me the fuck off. The new Resident Evil one on Netflix, absolute trash. US In-Betweeners remake. Well, that was fucking dreadful. As a huge Halo fan, the show was absolute trash. What would make you take another human life? Another? That's what I'm saying. Defense of my own life or that of a loved one. Hurt my kid and I'll fucking and then drown them in it? A threat to my wife or children. A successful first attempt. I don't know. $5 at a juice box. 2 juice boxes if you want me to hide the body well. Nice try, FBI. Good attempt, CIA. Almost worthless, Secret Service. For breathing my good air. A lot of things, TBH. You're going on a list, my dude. You're going on a list. A lot of money. Being drafted by the military for World War III. They take the last cookie. What is one thing other countries don't understand about America? The US is huge. On r/AskAnAmerican, foreigners will tell us how they're planning a 2-week trip, starting in New York, driving to Miami, and then driving to the Grand Canyon, then driving back to New York. And we're all like, what? Yeah, that's a whole week of driving. How friendly most of us are. Don't believe the news. Seriously, most of us love meeting new people, especially those from other countries and cultures. And in the US, we love to tell you the best restaurant or park or best way to get from point A to point B. Don't be afraid to say hi. Daily life here isn't what you see on the news, in movies or TV or on the internet. Believing your biases to be facts isn't a good idea. It has its problems, but it's far from the dystopian hellscape that Reddit would lead you to believe. Life is pretty good for the average person. We specify the town we're from because if we say we are from the US, that could mean literally anywhere. So no, we don't say it because we expect you to know where that is. We're just saying it because the US spans so many miles and has so many different climates. We have to make that distinction. As an American reading through Reddit, I sometimes wonder what a typical American looks like to non-Americans. Seems like you have a stereotype in mind. The answer is, like you. Wherever you're from, Americans look like you. Every race, ethnicity, nationality, and culture is represented in America, and in no small measure. Diversity of climate and landscape, and of people, culture, ethnic, political, religious, etc. White Christian conservatives may be vocal on social media sites, but are a minority, especially in most cities. Never order a large here. I don't care how hungry you are, you will not be able to eat it all. They're gonna be really disappointed in the train service. We need nationwide train service. We need a whole nationwide railway. We need it so bad, guys. I'm telling you, we need it. We can't rely on cars anymore. As a Canadian, I still don't really grasp how your country works. Unlike our provinces, all your states seem like teeny countries that all chip in to pay for a huge military that you share. It seems more like a weird empire than a cohesive country. I would say it's how different the culture is depending on where you are. Having grown up in the Chicago area and then moved around the country and now living in Idaho, I can say that there really isn't an average American. What is that one song that touches your soul? Where's My Mind by the Pixies. How to Save a Life by The Fray. House of the Rising Sun by The Animals. The World I Know by Collective Soul, or 100 Years by Five for Fighting. I'm not singing, but Kissed by a Rose on the Grave, Seal. I'm not singing. Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day. How to Save a Life by The Fray. Shame to see them inactive for so long and their singer recently called it quits. How to Save a Life by the... What the f***? Why is The Fray... Like, I didn't realize The Fray was so popular. Stop and Stare by One Republic and Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. All very good songs. You know, one of the members of One Republic went to the same school as me, same high school. Before I went there, of course. He's older than I am, but he's one of the most famous people to come out of my school. Hurt, the Johnny Cash version, for sure. Wow, yeah, that is a bright red flag. Who is a stranger you still remember? A couple months ago when my friend Jordan was visiting town, we went out to this restaurant to catch up, and we were just sitting there, and this random, 45-year-old lady comes up to me and goes, "I'm sorry to bother you, but I just love your eyes. They're really different and pretty." And I was like, wow, thanks. That's kind of weird of you to say to me. Thanks for the compliment, but no, go away. I was just trying to have lunch with my friend. The old Asian man sneezing at the bus bus station. I offered him a tissue. He took the whole pack. Once a bin man didn't see me and nearly rammed a bin into me, but another bin man noticed and swung it around the last second and asked if I was okay. He was mad tall and had nice eyes, and I fell in love with him for a brief second, surrounded by the smell of hot garbage. Beautiful. An elderly woman customer said, "How are you so nice? I bet you go home and beat your wife." What? Brother! Holy moly! I remember when I was little and I stepped into a big fire ant hill. It hurt all over. My dad didn't know what to do. Our Mexican neighbor saw from a distance and told us to use lemon and lime juice and pour it all over my body. It was hard to understand because he only spoke Spanish and a little bit of English. Once that lemon juice was on me, I felt great. I never saw him again after that though. Was really a kind man. Me and my friend were walking home and a man passed us while talking on the phone. The whole way up to us, he didn't say anything right until he was literally next to us, and in a serious and assertive tone, "Microwave oven!" and then went silent again. We couldn't stop laughing. A homeless man who cried at the sight of my dog. Turns out he had a similar one and it died a year before. I sat beside him and let him pet my dog for over half an hour. I met a girl at the park last year. We talked together for hours. I didn't get her Instagram or any social media account. I freaking love her. I was at the drive-thru at Wendy's. The girl who took my order at the speaker had the prettiest voice I had ever heard. When I got to the window, she was transgender. In an act that was out of character for me at the time, I told her she had a beautiful voice. She blushed and then she started crying. It started the habit of complimenting people I don't want anything from. It's one of the most rewarding habits you can have. What movie traumatized you as a child? When I was a kid, I used to be very scared of Muppets, so any Muppet movie was probably caused that. Stephen King's It. I saw it when I was 5, and I was afraid to use the bathroom until I was 7. Poltergeist. The fucking tree out of the window and the clown doll under the bed. Chucky. Specifically Seed of Chucky. Pet Sematary Original. Specifically that scene with the sister Zelda. My older sisters made me watch it when I was little, and it fucked me up for a very long time after that. Nightmare on Elm Street. Terrified me for years. Who let a 6-year-old watch that? Tales from the Crypt. Return to Oz. Fucking Wheelers. Also Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Fucking Large Marge. Avatar. I don't know why, but those little blue humans terrified me. Little? They were huge. The Exorcist. That spider walk scene still makes me uneasy. Jaws. That scene, the boat, hold below the waterline. Proper jump scare. I was probably 11 or 12 seeing it in the cinema. Shrek the Third. Them babies are fucking terrifying. Hey, that's based. That's based as heck. E.T. still haunts me a bit. Clockwork Orange. I've heard nightmares about this movie. Spirited Away. Yeah, I would be traumatized too if I saw parents turn into pigs at a young age. That wouldn't be fun. You were the last person on Earth. What do you do? Live happy in a farm, farming crops, feeding animals, and so on, until I realized the toilet isn't functioning properly. So I look in Wikipedia and realize the internet went down 10 years ago. Suddenly remember, I'm the smartest person on Earth at the moment. This confidence boost, I start fixing the toilet and die a tragic death, which ends humanity at its best. For about 6 months, if not longer, I'd be completely depressed. After that, I don't know. Probably start burning down random buildings. Why not? Go to Area 51. Help as many house pets as I can and try to care for animals in zoos. This is going to sound horrible, but the best thing you would do for most animals would be to shoot them. At least it would be a humane death. There's nothing else you can do. Most won't survive if you simply release them, and a few of them will immediately try to kill you. Agreed. I would rather shoot an animal than let it starve or eat me. Die very quick, I imagine. Cry very quick, I imagine. Sigh very quick, I imagine. Teach monkeys how to speak. And now the monkeys have murdered you. I would go to a car dealer, pick a Porsche Turbo S, and drive for hours on the highway with loud music. Live out the rest of my life in peace with nature, I guess. Visit Bill Murray's house. Why? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? What unusual word simply makes you happy? Kerfuffle. Flabbergasted. Serendipity. Pangolin. Befuddled. Sounds like a goofy. It sounds so goofy, like my mouth is being tickled. Boondoggle? No, boondoggle or Donnybrook. Discombobulation. Bonkers. Phalanges. Cromulent. What is a hill that you would die on that most people couldn't care less about? The Oxford comma is essential. If you're riding a motherfucking escalator or moving sidewalk, you better goddamn keep to the right so people with somewhere to be can actually move. This is not an amusement park ride. It's pronounced GIF. No, bro, it's clearly GIF. You are both wrong. It's clearly HIF. Art is not purely subjective, and just because someone claims something is art doesn't make it art. Holy shit, I don't agree or disagree, but this probably deserves its own sub. On accident is not acceptable in any language. It's by accident or on purpose. You mixed them up by purpose, didn't you? Generations really have very little use and are used like astrology or personality tests to justify hating other ages or to fit in. If there's a candy bowl and you eat all the red flavored candies out of it, you're an asshole. Now what does the red taste like? Delicious. SpaghettiOs are delicious, but only when you eat them straight from the can. That's so true. Don't microwave your SpaghettiOs. Eat them cold. They're better that way. Speaking of, what food tastes just as good cold as it does when hot? Any kind of fruity pie. A warm straight from the oven? Good. Cold after a couple days in the fridge? Still just as good. Chocolate, grilled chicken, and cherry pie. What is a combo? Not as a combo, just my two favorite things to eat both hot and cold. Cheese. Coffee, but iced coffee rather than hot coffee that was left cold. Cake. Pizza. Tastes better. I used to, when I was a kiddo, one of my struggle meals was a slice of cold pizza, and and I would take like a leftover Taco Bell hot sauce and put it on top and like spread it out as a layer. That was so good. I mean, it wasn't really a struggle meal, but it was like one of them, late night snack meals that you had all the time. Cookies. You want to make the first date as awkward as possible. What do? Misa always talking like a Jar Jar. Misa loves him. Oh my God. No. Not Jar Jar. Come on. Just keep farting mildly loud and apologizing and telling her you have a problem. You're really attractive women. If you're the lady, show up in a wedding dress. And if you're the gentleman, show her the engagement ring you have already purchased. Bring the ex. Bring anyone, really. Show up to it. Do you ever realize you have to take a shit right after you get into the shower? You can't use the toilet. You'll be all wet and the seat will be cold. So you just shit in your hand and throw it in the toilet? No, me neither. Say I want to make sure I get to sleep with 3 generations of women in her family. Ask her if her mother and grandmother are single. What's a word you had mispronounced for a long time without realizing it? Melancholy. I used to pronounce it melancholy. What? Billy Bob Jimmy Joe? Get a job. How about that? Quinoa. Apparently it's quinoa and not quinoa. Not a word, but a phrase. Play it by ear is how I thought the phrase went because it's like see which way the wind is blowing and acting accordingly. The actual phrase play it by ear is commonly used in many contexts which do not completely jive with the original meaning of the phrase, meaning to play an instrument without sheet music. Swedish rather than English. The word genre in Swedish is also genre. Now, using Swedish phonetics, the spelling would imply that it's pronounced genre. However, it's actually pronounced shanger, which is totally unrelated to the spelling. I have no idea what this is. Like 50% of the words in English. My friend Lena was telling me she's Finnish. If people named George, it's weird to her that there's G's in it and R and all that because the pronunciation, if you wanted to pronounce George in Finnish, it would be T-S-O-O-T-S, Suts, or something like that. But it's pronounced George. Plethora. I heard John Travolta use it in a line in a movie when I was a kid. I mispronounced it until college when my GF, who I was arguing with at the time, pointed out that I was an idiot. It's plethora, not plethora, stupid. Worcestershire sauce. It's pronounced Worcestershire sauce. Epitome. It's pronounced epitome. Just sounds dumb and not correct to me. I would pronounce it epitome. Then I had a snarky coworker correct me in the middle of a meeting, and now I say it the correct way, even though when it leaves my lips, it sounds wrong. As a child reading Harry Potter, I always read Hermione as Hermione in my head. I didn't realize until I saw the movies years later. If you got a list of your stats once you died, which statistic would you be most curious about? How many photographs taken by other people I'm in? How many people I was attracted to were also attracted to me and I had no idea? Deaths indirectly responsible for. Where all my lost things went, and how many times I was this close to running into a person I knew. I have a few. Who I thought about the most. A breakdown of my lifetime cash flow. Even the $2 I blew at the gas station when I was 5. How many people actually enjoyed my company? How many serial killers I've unknowingly encountered in life? The ratio of good, decent, bad, indifference impressions I left in people. That would also double as how many people I've interacted with too, I guess. Though I also want to know how many trees I've climbed. I can proudly say I've climbed 0 trees because I'm scared of heights. How many times I almost died without knowing it. Liters of blood bled. If I made a positive difference in anyone's life. What's the best answer to being called ugly? It might be here, but I don't know. Hopefully that's all we have in common. I've been called worse things from better people. If I had $1 for every time someone called me ugly, you'd think I was handsome. Just go, and look at them all confused as if they just pointed out something irrelevant about you, like the color of your hair. People really break when you give them an anticlimactic reaction. Agreeing. It always works. I've got a face only a mother would love, and your mother loves me very much. Thanks. You too. Thanks. It's a relief to know someone like you doesn't find me attractive. Aggressive fart. I see. You're an expert in this field. Redditors. What are your most interesting roommate stories? My roommate once created a whole new life form by leaving beans in the fridge until they molded so bad they became pure white. Then she got mad when I threw it away because she was going to use it later. I spent over a year falling asleep to the angry, muffled whisper, but not really arguments between my roomie and his girlfriend. Just muffled enough that I could understand what the problem was, but they were clearly not happy together. So I'd just lie in bed wondering, what's my duty of care here? Like they weren't violent with each other, and it wasn't like one person was terrorizing the other. It was just 2 young people in a consensual and mutual spiral of despair. We met when we showed up for dorm room assignments our freshman year of college. Almost 50 years later, and we're still the closest of friends. I recently attended his daughter's wedding, a grand affair because he happens to be uber wealthy. At one point, I found myself choking up, and it wasn't for the bride and groom, it was for John and me. How far we've come from that first awkward handshake a half-century ago. There are plenty, but one of my roommates used to sleepwalk and sleep talk almost every night, and I was the only one who'd be awake whenever it would happen. I'd witness her cleaning our fridge, sealing our open bag of chips, and I'd hear her quote Shakespeare in her sleep. What made her go back to bed was me asking her to sleep, and then she'd look at me and close her eyes. Whenever I asked her if she recalled any of it, the answer was always no. My freshman year college roommate was a random pairing. Kid partied all night and slept all day. Legit wouldn't wake up until 5 p.m. He goes MIA for like a week. I call my mom because I'm not even sure he's alive. She searches to see if he's been arrested. Before she can call me back, the cops are knocking at a door and ask, have you seen blank? And I say no. Mom calls me back a few minutes later. He had been booked booked for robbery at a convenience store, which was in our dorm building. He tried to hide in an air vent. He made the front page of the campus newspaper and was expelled, and I got the whole dorm to myself for the rest of the fall and spring semester. I taught a roommate how to boil water. Iced tea was the first thing other than sandwiches and salads that she had ever made. That's pathetic. That's actually, like, I get it. No, I don't get it. That's pathetic. Us young people have to learn how to cook. Like, even the most basic things, like a grilled cheese or some pasta. You should at least know how to boil water and, like, cook a burger. Come on, guys. Come on. I used to live with 2 strippers. Needless to say, they weren't early risers. One Sunday morning, we got a knock at the front door. Jehovah's Witness. So, Kay goes to the door and invites them in for coffee while buck naked. Kay is pretty, impressive naked. Built like China in her prime. Lots of tattoos and piercings. Needless to say, they left quickly and we never had missionaries at our door again. My college roommate didn't know how to do laundry before we started school. We had a community washer and dryer on our floor. Probably the 3rd week of school, I went down to get a soda from the machine and I walk in and there are bubbles 4 inches deep on the floor. My roommate walks in behind me and to check on his laundry. He had put 3 full scoops of Tide in the washer with his load. I had to take him to an off-campus laundromat to wash all the excess soap out of his clothes. A few years back, my former roommate and I let our downstairs neighbor move in with us because the guy he was living with had taken up a new habit. He'd befriended the pigeons that hung out on the top of the roof outside his bedroom window and eventually started taking them inside and caring for them like pets. Oh my god, I'm dying. That's so funny. I got dirty real quick. I had a roommate who threatened to take everything I owned out of my room and put it on the sidewalk because I was keeping my bike in our living room after she had declared a not agreed upon rule that there couldn't be any personal items in our common space. 2 weeks after I reluctantly agreed to store my bike in my tiny bedroom, she ordered this table for our entryway. What is a video game that hasn't aged well? Duke Nukem. Roblox games. They went from nostalgic games that are fun with a great community to a bunch of scams with half-hearted content. Maybe a hot take, but GoldenEye on the N64 was one of my favorite games ever, but it's borderline unplayable now that modern shooters with 2 control sticks exist. Halo came out 4 years after GoldenEye, but the difference between them is so vast it might as well be a decade. A lot of the early polygonal games in general are hard to go back to. Almost all of the original PlayStation era games, when they were still figuring out how to navigate 3D. The Sims 1 through 3 always had huge good changes and extras added, but I especially want to mention The Sims 2. It had so many details. But then there's Sims 4. No open world, always loading screens, non-working DLCs, never fixed bugs from 2017, and so much more. Plague Inc. The game was fun at the time, but oof, is it weird to think about now. Also, Madagascar. Cuphead. The graphics are extremely outdated, almost like it was made in 1930 or something. Hey guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.